I had no friends and I felt completely alone. Back when I was 24, I had, recently finished university and I had friends in high school and university, but afterwards it just felt like everyone kind of drifted apart into their own direction. And I was in the spot where I just moved out of my parents' place into my own apartment, the first place I had. And I thought that was going to be super dope and exciting, but I was there by myself and all of my days were basically just waking up early, commuting to work in traffic, getting to the office. Everyone there that I worked with was like 15 or 20 years older than me, so none of them were my friends. Then I would sit there for 8 hours, commute back home, maybe go to the gym, maybe not. Then I got back home and I was just alone by myself, and it felt like I was in this mind-numbing, pointless rinse and repeat cycle. Like, what even was the point? And it's right about the time I decided I wanted to improve my life, so I was starting to consume some self-improvement books and YouTube videos, but it just felt like was that even possible to change my life? And I know there's a lot of other men out there who feel the same way, who are in a similar position, because we're in this weird place in society where it kind of feels like men have been left behind. Everyone's very focused on making sure women don't fall behind and, making sure we support women, yes, queen, go girl, but then men are just beaten down. We're not supposed to be too strong or aggressive because that's toxic, but the reality is no one's ever going to feel sorry for us either because we're men and we're supposed to be strong, right? And this last week I noticed there's this trend on YouTube where people, they're not influencers who are famous, just regular guys are uploading these videos talking about how lonely and depressed and forgotten they feel. So today I want to watch through a few of these videos with you and react to some of the specific pain points that these guys are experiencing.
I'm 29 years old. I have no friends, no social life, and no career. Throughout my life, I have been very depressed and anxious. I have been emotionally neglected in my childhood. I have been physically abused.
You can feel this man's pain through the screen.
I have also tried to tell my parents that I am feeling depressed, that I am feeling that I need emotional support from them.
Bro,
But I never got it. They bluntly told me that yeah, we understand that you need emotional support, but we don't know how to do it. Like, these were the words that was being told to a 16-year-old child who is being dealing with depression.
so this guy's torturing himself as a 16-year-old, feeling lost, confused, and depressed, and he finally works up the courage to tell his parents, to ask for help to the person or to the two people who he likely trusts more than anyone in the world, and he was dismissed. And you can tell watching this that, like, inside, emotionally, he's still that 16-year-old kid. Like, emotionally, he has not evolved since then. His parents saying, yeah, we don't know, sorry, like, that's still ringing in his head. And look, I'm blessed that my parents never made me feel neglected like this. They always supported me. But I think that all of us have at least one kind of traumatic event in our childhood that fucked us up like this. So when I was young, basketball was my life. And I think I got all of my validation by being a good basketball player. That made me feel cool to other guys, made me feel cool to girls. And then in high school, my freshman year, the coach was really, really hard on me and a bit mean to me. And it completely broke my confidence. And when I got on the court, I was so nervous I was going to make a mistake and get benched that I could barely dribble the ball or pass the ball. And it broke my confidence. And then, a few years later, when I wanted to start talking to girls, I had this same jarring energy inside of me because I was afraid, like, the coach was putting me down. It was like, I don't know, it paralyzed me. I was so afraid of fucking up. And the funny thing is, I was only able to let this go and start building actual, like, confidence and self-love for myself years later when I realized that this had happened to me. It was still affecting me and I shared it with someone. Because we oftentimes feel so ashamed of something that happened to us and we don't even want other people to know about it. But when we finally let it go and let it off our chest, no longer does it have that power. And I'd be surprised to see see if this guy's actually like posted any videos since then, because I bet you just like the act of making this video has allowed him to feel a lot more confident, to start to move past it. Yeah, so 3 months after he uploaded that video, he uploaded a life update.
I'm doing better, a lot better than the last video that I posted 3 months ago.
Yeah, you can just see it in his face that he's in a happier, he's in a better place now. And I'm sure if we look at some of the comments on that last video, that just having other people hear his story and relate to him had this crazy impact. Yeah, top comment, 27 here, losing friends, no long-term relationship, physical abuse survivor, questionable career, and you inspire me, bro. You are brave and your life is valued. It's hard to feel loved and valued when your surroundings are this way, but don't give up. Things will get better. It's fucking crazy how powerful it is when we just realize that other people are, going through the same things as us in parallel. That obviously immediately makes us feel not as alone. There's a lot of other men experiencing this shit, man.
I am 25 and I have no friends. High school, I had a good number of friends. We would have common interests, talk about different things, go out.
Yeah, I think most of us can relate to that we find some tribe of friends, even if it's a small one, when we're in a very social environment like school. Then he goes on to talk about how after school, all of his friendships ended one by one, and he starts talking about one of these friendships in particular.
One thing that really led me to break away from being friends with that person was their frequent use of the N-word.
Now, obviously, I'm not black, and I can't personally relate to the N-word being something that makes me uncomfortable, but I think all of us probably can relate to being in a really lonely place and still hanging out with certain friends that don't really feel like our friends, right? They don't make us feel good about ourselves. Maybe they're shitty people, but we keep hanging out with them because we just don't want to let go and be completely lonely.
I'm sure some of you are probably going to ask, well, if hearing somebody say that word makes you uncomfortable, why wouldn't you just tell them? And I feel like to some degree, I must have said something at some point in the past where it's like, bro, like, come on, like, you can't be saying that. That's not cool. Like,
so it's funny to me here how he's like, I'm sure at some point I said something about this. You can tell that obviously in his head, he for years or for a long period of time probably thought, I got to say something to this fucking guy. This guy can't keep doing this. I got to set the boundary with this guy. And when we're in low points of our life and we're sad, it's crazy how we just will like replay or think about something so much in our head, but not actually take action on it. Like, it sounds like he may have never said anything.
So, yeah, I had a couple of female friends in high school. I feel like back around that time, it would have been kind of like counterproductive for things to get sexual between me and female friends, because then it would be like weird every time I saw them, and like the vibes would just be off, and that's not what we needed for the friend group.
So this one is a super big rationalization that a lot of us make. This is how we get stuck in the friend zone, and I did this earlier when I was in high school and a bit in university. No, I'm not gonna ask her out, not because I'm afraid of asking her out or because I'm afraid she's gonna say no, but because like it's just gonna lead to bad vibes in the friend group, and it's gonna be weird. And I think it kind of ties back to this fear of being alone, because it's like if things get weird with this friend group, then maybe I stop hanging out with the girls and the guys, and then I'm completely alone. And fuck that. So on one hand, I get where he's coming from. On the other hand, speaking from experience now, this type of thinking just leads to fake fucking friendships with the women, where you want more than that, but you're too afraid to do it. And then every time we're hanging out with them, we're just ashamed that we haven't made the move yet. And we know deep down that they don't respect us. They know that we were interested in them and that we were too big of a pussy to make the move. And the realization that changed this for me, and maybe this will change it for you as well, is you have to realize there's pain either way. One way, you ask the girl out and there's the pain of rejection and embarrassment, but the other pain is you're living in this mental hell where every time you see the girl, or even when you're not seeing the girl, you're thinking about what it could be if you made that move. You get to choose the pain. There's gonna be pain either way, unless of course the girl's just down to hang out and things do get romantic or sexual. So like one path is only pain, the other path is probably pain, but maybe there's success. And once I realized that, I made the rule for myself, I will always ask a girl out as soon as feasibly possible, because I'd rather just know than live in this mental hell. And if you're watching this right now and you are in a tough spot where you feel lonely and lacking female attention, I do want to let you know that I am here to help with my Beast Dating coaching program.
Right now, I'm seeing a girl. We're hanging out once or twice a week, and I'm still going on other dates and meeting other women, which has never happened for me before. Like,
just look at like dating life before the program. It was scarce, if not zero. After being in the program for a little while, today's Monday, I've got a date tonight. I've got a pending one Tuesday. I've got a pending one Wednesday. To be able to connect with like a girl on a deeper level is just like an area in my life that I didn't know that I missed.
One of the other things that I appreciate about this program is I'm not so afraid to like put myself out there.
Over the past few years, hundreds of guys have been through the program, and a big reason they see these type of results is, yes, when they join, they get 5 live coaching calls every week with myself and the other coaches, so that we're able to personally help them and guide them past whatever issues they're facing. They get a step-by-step, blueprint for how to do everything. But I think a lot of the value comes because when you join the program, you're joining this brotherhood of men who are all working to level up their lives. And a lot of times just being exposed and seeing that other guys are going through the same thing. And then, next week you see the guy who was down in the dumps last week, he just had this big win. A lot of times that's like the X factor and the missing motivation. When we feel connected, a lot of times it's a lot easier to win and to stay motivated. Anyway, if this sounds like something that could be helpful to your situation, you can go to beastcoaching.com or click the first link in description to learn more, see more testimonials, and apply now.
Even if I don't have all the friends in the world right now, I'm sure that the ones that I will have, the ones I'm meant to have, they'll come.
This is kind of a dangerous way of thinking, because what I've found after being in this really lonely place is that the best friends and the truest friends that I've made since then, yes, they weren't like friendships that I forced and I didn't go out looking for them, but they only presented themselves when I was heavily applying myself to my own path in life. Whether that was really focused on building up this YouTube channel and building up the skill of making YouTube videos, then I started to make friends with other people who also like making YouTube videos. So bro, my advice is, don't just think, it's gonna take care of itself. You need to apply yourself to some direction in life. And then I think an additional benefit beyond just, leveling up that skill is that you will meet other people on that same path.
I'm 37 years old now. I don't have any friends at all to speak of, not one single friend. The good friends that I had here back at home, they just all disappeared, got their own families, and I'm stuck here where I was born, in the same house, 37, alone, no children, no wife, and everyone around me seems to have moved on with their life, and I'm stuck here, like in a never-ending Groundhog Day repeated cycle of nothingness.
So when I was at my loneliest, it was earlier in my life, and I can't even quite put myself in this man's shoes where he truly feels like it's too late for him. And all of his friends now have families and he's alone. But I can kind of relate because, back in university, for example, when all my friends were getting laid and had girlfriends, I was still a virgin. And similarly, I felt like left behind. And it made the pain worse because I think when I hung out with them a lot of times, I was like passive aggressively angry at them, and it made me feel less than them and envious of them. And it made me kind of have anger also towards the people who weren't in that spot I was in.
Why am I unable to find love or somebody that loves me for who I am? Nobody to hug, nobody to cuddle, nobody to feel any sort of warmth with or anything. I think most women out there look for security first and foremost before they even care about anything else. And they want a man that is got a good job and earn good money or can provide for the family or whatever. I don't have any of that either. I used to be an engineer. I used to earn a lot of money, and I basically squandered all that money on traveling, and I didn't save anything. I didn't put anything aside.
I mean, he's right in saying, I think women will want you to be able to financially support them and then any children you have. That is like a base security need for a woman to consider you being a husband. It's sad, man. This is a sad fucking video today. But in these situations, the obvious question is, why can't you stop playing the fucking victim and feeling bad for yourself? And why can't you just start taking a little bit of action, get a new job, get some momentum in your life? And to be fair, he does address that.
When you don't care about anything, and I mean anything, you don't care about life itself, it's very hard to get motivated about a job. Or anything for that matter.
And that is something that I can relate to. When I was in that tough spot that I mentioned at the beginning of this video and I felt stuck in like this meaningless cycle. I don't remember where I heard this. It was in some self-improvement audiobook I was listening to as I was commuting to work. I can still it's funny, I can still picture the exact exit I was pulling off as this idea was presented in this book. And the idea is this: the next 6 months of your life, they're going to pass by. No matter what you do, the next 6 months of your life are gonna pass by. So that time can either pass while we're feeling bad for ourselves, while we're in pain, and while we're doing nothing because we have no motivation to do anything, or we can experience that pain and suffering, but we can still try. Just try to do a little something. We can still wake up and try despite having that pain, because either way, those 6 months are gonna fucking pass. So why not, when you get to that point and you look back, at least have given yourself a chance, bro. Think about your future self, because you're gonna be sitting probably in the same chair you're in right now in 6 months. And think about which decision, which path you would have wished that you took. Both of them are gonna be pain and suffering. One has a chance of some momentum though. Has a chance of bringing your life back, bringing your passion back for life. And as a bare minimum, this is what I would challenge you to do. 3 days per week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, let's say, go to the gym for 1 hour. That is literally 3 hours per week. And forget about the progress. It doesn't fucking matter if you burn fat or build muscle. The only thing that matters is showing up. Because physical exercise, and it doesn't matter if you go and run or you go and lift weights, I would lift weights if I were you, but when you physically activate your body and you physically challenge your body, and you go to a point of exhaustion, it changes, it oxygenates your brain, and it changes how you fucking think. Sitting down on the ground, looking around, it's not gonna change how you think. You can't think yourself out of a fucking depression. Before you give up all hope, do this one thing. Do it for yourself. And if you can't do it for yourself, do it for me. Do it for David. Do me a favor. Because at the end of the day, the harsh truth is that the world doesn't really care that much about men who are struggling. We're supposed to be strong. No one's gonna swoop in and save you like they might do to a female. It's become survival of the fittest. It's always been survival of the fittest for men. And I think the most hopeful thing I can leave you with, that I've learned from my experience the last 5 to 10 years, is that small steps turn to medium steps turn to big steps. And what I mean by that is, last year I decided I wanted to launch a supplement company, and we created and launched Gains Club. And maybe where you are, doing something like that seems unrealistic, unachievable. But here's the thing: if you start with just hitting the gym and getting your workouts in, well, that might give you the momentum to start approaching girls and actually asking that girl out that you like. And then before you know, now you have the momentum that you're able to quit your job and finally pursue that career that you've always wanted. And before you know it, you fucking launch your own business, build your own empire if you want to. But that's only gonna happen if you start with those small steps at the beginning. As men, we have to take pride in the struggle. We have to enjoy the pain, because we're gonna experience it one way or the other. And we just gotta take ownership for that shit and move forward. And build a band of brothers, because as we've seen today, knowing that there's other guys in the same situation trying to build themselves up alongside of you, that's powerful. We're all out here. We all want each other to win. And it all starts today, or it should start today for you if it hasn't started yet. Now, if you are getting started with your journey in the gym, I'd recommend you watch this video next. It's about what I would do and how I would train if I started over from 0 gains, the biggest mistakes you need to avoid to see the fastest results possible. Check that out. And if you're new to the channel, click down there to subscribe, as I drop 2 new videos every single week and you don't want to miss them. I'll talk to you in the next video. Stay beastly.